Hello and welcome to more Nerdy Rodent geekery. Today I'm playing with audio filters in OBS Studio. I started my audio adventure by installing as many free VST plugins as I could be bothered to download. Partly for fun, and partly because I wanted to get rid of the noise my computer fans make while I try to record things like this in OBS Studio. I've linked some of the best free plugins down there in the video description. You do always read the video description, don't you? Just after pressing the like button? Yeah, anyway, the links are down there. I used only 64-bit plugins, so everything got installed into one place. C, program files, VST plugins. Some plugins have installers, some don't. Sometimes you need to change the defaults, sometimes you won't. Just make sure everything goes into C, program files, VST plugins, and then it'll show up in OBS. If it's not in there, OBS won't see it. While the best thing for crisp and clear audio is to have a nice quiet recording area, unfortunately, here in Nerdy Rodent Studios, I can't really do much about those PC fans, so let's have a look at the filters I use. To access filters, you can either use the little cog here and select filters, or you can right-click and select filters. Here we can see all the filters for this device. Now, let me just turn some of these off so you can hear that background noise I'm dealing with. Yeah, that's pretty noisy, isn't it? Let's turn this first one back on. OBS noise suppression. This one comes built in, so if you can't be bothered to install plugins or use anything else, then this does a pretty decent job. As you can see, I've already added a number of different plugins, and if you need to add them yourself, you just click the little plus button down there, or you can right click and add that way too. If it's a VST2 plugin, then give it a name and select the plugin from the menu there. I'll remove that one for now, as I don't need an extra one. I've got loads. The first thing to be aware of is that these filters are processed in the order shown on the screen. The order that seemed to work for me best is noise suppression, gate, compressor, EQ, reverb and other effects, and then finish off with a limiter. That isn't a hard and fast order, but it seemed to work best for me during my testing. Obviously, during your testing, if you want to put an EQ first, then go right ahead. But what do these things actually do? Well, let's dive in and have a look. So first is the noise suppression. We've briefly touched on this already, and the name is fairly self-explanatory. Here, I'm trying to get rid of the background noise in my room, the computer fans, radiators, boiler, and all sorts of other things that mean I have a far from perfect recording environment, as you've already heard. I'll also say at this point that getting the audio perfect isn't really going to be possible. You'll have to just have a subjective choice about what you think sounds better. Too much filtering and it'll sound like you're in a bucket. Too little filtering and you'll get all that hiss coming through. Somewhere in the middle and maybe you'll get the odd funny sounding noise. But, it is what it is. So, the first one here just has one slider. It's as simple as it gets. You slide it, it does things. That's it. So let's check it out. There it is on 0 decibels. That's basically the same as it being turned off. And with noise suppression at minus 17 decibels, it sounds like this. At minus 33 decibels, it sounds like this. And at minus 60, it sounds like this. The default is minus 30, so play around and see what works best for you. I'm going to leave it about there. Also notice that while that horrible background noise has gone, so has a little bit of that audio quality. So if you can sort your environment out first, that's always much better than having to use these filters. Another option is to use an expander. This is the OBS expander. Again, it comes built in, no need to use any of those plugins. And what this does is it makes the quieter noises even quieter, and hopefully the audio quality won't be impacted quite as much as some other options. I'll turn the noise suppression off for now and the expander on. So here with the expander on, you can hear a little bit of a difference. There's also a few more options. The ratio is how much the sound below the threshold will be impacted. Usually a ratio between 2 to 1 and 4 to 1 is okay. You also have controls for attack and release. Play with them and see what's best for you. This is a threshold of 0 dB and a ratio of 2.7. This is a threshold of minus 22 dB and a ratio of 2.7. And this is a threshold of minus 44 dB and a ratio of 2.7. If you've got a really noisy environment, a bit like mine, then we'll need to dive into one of those plugins we installed earlier. For this one, I'll be showing Refear. Let's turn the OBS expander off and Refear on. We'll also open the plugin interface to be able to see the controls. Using its subtractive EQ mode, I can build a profile that will filter out some of the noise, much like the noise reduction in Audacity if you're familiar with that. I've got the mode precise and the FFT size set to 2048. Once I press reset, and then I'll click automatically build a noise profile, you won't be able to hear anything that I'm saying, but it will build the filter. There, the filter has been built. Again, notice the quality of my voice and the background noise, or lack thereof. If you find you're sounding too robot-like, then you can control-click to move everything up or down, again depending on how much filtering you want to apply. If you have too much filtering, then the sound quality will be very heavily impaired. With too little filtering, most of the background noise will just come through again anyway. Let's leave it around there. Let's just run through how these sound if you mix and match them. This is just the OBS noise suppression. And with the expander on as well. And with Refear. Just the noise suppression and Refear. The expander and Refear. Just the expander. And just Refear. I'm going to leave noise suppression and the expander on for now. Sweet, we've done a thing. Section 1 complete. Let's move on to section 2. Okay, so this next thing is a noise gate. Think of this a bit like a gate through which only the noisiest noises can pass. With the gate closed, the output is muted. This can help to prevent some of those background incidental noises getting through. OBS Studio has a noise gate built in, so let's activate that now and see what we can do with it. As you can see, there is an open and close threshold, as well as attack, hold and release times. Attack is how long it takes the gate to open once the threshold has been released. Hold is how long the gate stays open once audio has dropped below the threshold. Release is how long it takes the gate to fully close. The default settings are fairly reasonable. You may want a fast attack with a slower hold and release times to make sure you don't chop off the end of your words, but again, play with it and see what's good for you. Another option is the noise gate from Reaper plugins. You did install all the plugins? Yeah? Let's have a look at that one. We'll turn the OBS noise gate off and regate on. And open the plugin interface. Look at the output mix meter. If any sound passes the gate, it will be shown in the output mix. If I go silent, then the output mix will be completely muted. Any noise below the threshold is gated off. This plugin also has extra sliders, such as pre-open, which acts like a sort of psychic, able to guess ahead of time as to when the gate should be opened. Do note, however, that adding delays to your audio may mean that you also have to add delays to your video in order for the two to stay in sync. Here, you can also add a high pass and low pass filter. Useful if you have a device with a 60 Hz whine, for example. Sweet, we've done another thing. Section 2 completed. No real need to show the two gates, as they both do exactly the same thing. So, on to section 3, compression. Let's turn the OBS compressor on, have a look at the settings there. Again, this is the built-in compressor. With the compressor on, I can do things like shout "Goal!" or belt out a little singing number, and the compressor should even things out. The compressor takes the louder things and makes those quiet. The default ratio of 10:1 here is way too high, so again I suggest using somewhere between 2 and 4:1 for the ratio. As a side note, you can also use this as a sidechain ducking utility, which I'll show you later. I installed a billion plugins, so let's have a look at some more compressors. Turn the OBS compressor off, turn Recomp on, and open the plugin interface. Again, set a threshold for when you want things to become quieter. Testing this is much the same as with the Reaper noise gate, but this time you'll see another meter next to the output mix. This shows when compression is taking place, just to give that little extra bit of control and visual feedback. Boom, boom, boom! Boom, boom, boom! As well as the settings common to the OBS compressor, Recomp also has an audio knee. This helps to smooth out transitions a little if you like to tweak things really hard. Turning the nerd level up a little bit is the Tokyo Dawn Kotelnikov compressor. We'll turn Recomp off and open the new plugin interface. It's got more dials and it's blue. What's not to love about this? The first thing you'll notice is the knobs are dials rather than sliders. Let me know in the comments if you prefer dials or sliders. And they move really smoothly to get very, very fine control. Talking of dials, the next one is the Rough Rider compressor. Open the plugin interface. And here, the threshold is called sensitivity. And the ratio goes all the way up to 1000:1, which is pretty crazy. Here is what some of the compressors sound like again. The OBS compressor. Boom, boom. Recomp. Boom, boom. Kotelnikov. Boom, boom. And Rough Rider. Boom, boom. Sweet, we've done another thing. Before I move on to ducking, I'll just mention this limiter at the end. Basically, this sets a level at which no sound may pass. Full protection from blowing people's ears out, even when I go boom. So, no matter how loud I get, it won't pass this threshold of -2 decibels. That seems okay for me, and I'm not a particularly shouty person anyway. So, what was I saying about ducks? Oh yeah, ducking, sidechaining, that sort of thing. Well, if I unmute this audio, yeah, there's some audio, but every time I speak, it goes a little bit quieter. How is this magic possible? How is it possible? Well, let's have a look at the filters. There. So here, in the audio video filter section, I've got a compressor. Let's see at the bottom. Sidechain ducking source. I've got that set to my microphone. This means that any time I speak, so it goes above -40 decibels in this case, the audio source will be made quieter. Awesome. Great for if you're talking over gameplay and such like. So, that's... hang on. Wait, this is a Nerdy Rodent video. Where are the weird things? Well, they're all in here. Let's have a look at the filters again. And what I've got set to number 4. First up is the Nova EQ plugin. We'll enable that and open the plugin interface. Comes with loads of presets and does loads of stuff. Default, wideband, it's even got a de-esser. At the moment, I'm just using this edge density preset. No? Not good enough for you? Well, let's open up the TDR Voss Slick EQ. We'll open up the plugin interface, and again, we've got these wonderful smooth dials, frequency and gain, and all sorts of things that you can play with. No? No, still not floating your boat? Okay, alright. How about this auto panner? Yes, it's an auto panner. Harmonize, normal, and all sorts of different presets that you can play with. Still not weird enough. Okay, alright. How about if there were lots of me? Multiply from Acon Digital. Now I have a chorus of voices. 1 voice, 2 voices, 3 voices, 4 voices, 5 voices, 6 voices, and other various presets. Subtle and cool, tremolo piano, ultra fat, and a vintage echo. No? Okay, well let's turn that one off again. Alright, how about my favourite one, the old school Verb plugin? Are you ready for this? We'll open the plugin interface and turn it on. I'm in a big reflective room. I'm in a nice hole. It's in your face. I'm in a warm hall now. No? No? Not weird enough yet? Not weird enough yet? Okay. How about a visit to Valhalla? Yes, we've got a load more dials here, and it suddenly all feels a little bit Doctor Who. No? Alright, okay. I know exactly what to do now. If
I sounded like a chipmunk. Yay! Acorns!
or
Maybe your favourite underworld sweetie. Or perhaps just wildly playing with as many dials as you possibly can in an attempt to make it sound
A little bit weird. Yeah? Yeah.
anyway, that's the what? You want me to turn all the effects on? Oh, okay.
I've got a load turned on. I've got a load turned on.
I've got a load of effects turned on. Lol. Well, I hope you've learned a little bit about audio filters in OBS Studio, and perhaps you'll be encouraged to play with them too. Have fun! I've got a load turned on, a load turned on. I've got
Got a load of filters turned on.
lol.